Alright, welcome back. We're going to check out these tools today, see if they work for bikes. Knipex was kind enough to send these across. Knipex is a German brand and they're known for their high quality tools. A lot of people actually DM'd me about this tool in particular, the pliers wrench, saying it was like really good on Instagram. So check it out, see if it lives up to the hype. But yeah, first up, this is the tool. You can see they make a few different sizes. Made in Germany. This is the 1 1/2 inch. They got millimeters on the front here, and then on the back they got inches. And then it looks like it also comes in different sizes. Mine's the 180, and you can kind of see the little numbering system here. This could get a little bit confusing. I didn't know what this was first up, but I think it just refers to the size and just the model number as well. You can see it lines up here. And then, yeah, you can see it looks like it's been casted in metal. Seems pretty sturdy. They got this little push quick release thing you can undo and go up and down. Seems pretty well made. Let's break it out of this packaging. Alright, here it is. At the closed position, this is the closed position. It says 10 here, but I'm not sure if this is a 10. I gotta measure that. It looks slightly smaller than a 10, but I'll give it a measure. It'd be weird if it wasn't though. And yeah, you can see it just clicks in and out. I wonder if you can use it one-handed. Yeah, you could. If you're in a jam, you could use it one-handed. But I guess like you'd compare it to adjustable shifter. That's kind of what I'd be using it for. Using it to replace this, or in case of this. This one you can see it's one hand. Just a cheap one. This is kind of like a pliers and wrench in one. So it's good that even this one you can still use one-handed. It does take a little bit. You can just shake it. But yeah, it feels pretty good in hand. You can see it's got the measurement right there. And then it's got this little piece of metal here that's flexed, that pushes on this little push button. But yeah, it seems pretty high quality. You can see they used a little hex bolt here, and see how strong it is. Flex wise this way, there is a little bit of flex going this way, but it doesn't seem too much. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And another tool here is the pipe cutter. It's called the TubiX, and again, high quality. Seems like this is made in Germany as well. This is a little info thing on the back, a little pipe cutter on the front, adjustable, and then has a little kind of like cleaning thing on the bottom. But yeah, let's break this out. Alright, here it is. And I'm pretty sure this is the model number again. But yeah, I noticed they packed it with lots of grease down the bottom. You can wind it using this, fine tune it. You can see it goes up and down. I'm actually turning it. And then they also got this little push thing. So I'm pretty sure what this does is you can kind of like set it to what you want and then screw this in to kind of put more pressure and then loop it around. And then here's the measurements of the pipes that it cuts. And it kind of has a little spring back, like you let go here. And it, yeah, it springs back down. Overall seems pretty well made again, seems pretty durable, seems like pretty solid. And then this was the kind of like cleaning tool on the back. I've never used one of these before, but it looks like a burr cutter. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm unsure if this is how well this is gonna stay sharp, but yeah, see how it goes. Pretty handy to have it in the tool as well. Just slides in and out like that. And then the handle, there's not much to it. Looks like they just have a little handle here. I'm not sure. Can't really take it apart. Just screws left and right, I think. You can see the turn here, just turns. But yeah, it feels pretty good. And yeah, let's try these out. And one more thing before we try it out, we're just gonna measure it. So yeah, we'll set it to 10, which is the first one. And then that doesn't look like a 10 to me, but we'll measure it. 5.85. So I'm not sure what these measurements are for. Let's change it to, here you go. If you have to put the number within this hole here. Looks like it has a bit of flex as well. So yeah, if you close it, the number doesn't go in the end. And then if you put it in the hole here, this is like the first one. This should be a 10. So at the widest point, it's 11. So probably one millimeter more than what it is. So you can actually like clamp on it. Let's just try it for 40. See if this is 41 or something. Yeah, so it's a bit more, give or take, it's a bit more than what the number is. So you can, yeah, clamp it down. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, so this is the bike I'm going to be trying it out on. So I don't know about you, but one of the things I hate changing the most is these little guts on the seat. And it's super hard to get in there with even with the adjustable wrench. I'm going to have to use one side to hold it with the adjustable wrench. But I think it's a good way to test out, see if these pliers, wrench pliers, see if it works on this and see how it goes. Just because having a hard job probably is a good test for it. Just one thing I want to note is that the guts are actually upside down or in a high position inside the saddle, because if I put it the other way, the bolts tend to rub on the seat and I didn't want to do that. So I kind of flipped it around. So yeah, just testing it out for the first time, and what I found is once you slot it in, it's quite easy to rotate it because it's like a pair of pliers. You don't have to keep slotting it in and out. You can just kind of pull it open and adjust it with your hand. Whereas a shifter, you would have to kind of take it out of the slot and then re-slot it into the next part of the nut. And I found that to be way quicker. Here, just taking out all the guts there, you can see how I positioned it. And then I found out also, while I had the tool in my hand, I could install the nut using it like this. Usually I use my fingers, but sometimes it gets a bit fiddly, and then having the pliers really help. You can probably use this with normal pliers, but then you would have to be switching out tools again. And here, just putting it back on the seat before I tighten it up. And then here again, just using one hand. The seat did get in the way a little bit, but after just having a feel of it around, the tool ended up being pretty easy to kind of, yeah, install it. Once you get going, it kind of slots in and you can open and release it pretty quickly. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that. And you can do it up pretty tight because it has more leverage with the longer handle. And then here, just tying it up from the other side, you can see that basically sometimes when you can't see it, you can work blind and just kind of feel for it with your hand. I'm pretty sure if you weren't filming yourself, you don't need to get into this position. But yeah, sometimes when the camera's in the way for me, you can kind of feel it by hand, make sure it's locked in, and then tighten it up. But yeah, that worked pretty well. And then yeah, you can see the same for this one where I can't really see it. You can just feel for it. All right, there we go. It's on. Nice and sturdy. I'd say basically what it allows you to do is when you unwind and turn, it lets you open and kind of click back into the next one and keep going. So it gives you a pretty good feel. Whereas the adjustable shifter, it's good, but has a tendency of coming like a little loose. So every time you want to readjust it, you got to like loosen it a little bit and then tighten it again, which can be a little bit tricky. So yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. And then just going in the small areas wise, having these a little bit thinner helps going there, but I'm pretty sure you could find an adjustable shifter that is thinner as well. But it has like, yeah, a smaller head. But yeah, overall pretty impressed by how well it works. Once you get it going, it works pretty quick and you can get it pretty tight. Another thing I would say, it's kind of like akin to having just like longer fingers, where you can get your fingers in there and you can kind of just like open and close and turn it. This kind of mimics that in kind of like a tool form, where you got that feel of how much pressure you put in, and then you can kind of adjust the open and close at the same time. Where this, This is basically, it's kind of, it's not as good. It's kind of more like using like just a straight wrench because you don't have that feel and adjustability. You can put your thumb on here and like try to turn it, but I'd say, yeah, it doesn't have as good of a intuitive feel as this one. This one kind of feels like almost like an extension of your hand or your fingers when you're turning. Obviously not as good as your hand, but you can get a bit more leverage. Probably one downside of this one is like if you're taking like a huge bottom bracket off or something like this, you won't be able to put it in a breaker bar. Where this, you can kind of like slot it in a breaker bar. You probably wouldn't put this one in, you put, you know, the big one in the breaker bar. So I could see it for maybe like smaller things. It's more handy, and it's also like how strong your grip is. Yeah, I can see it being used for things like pedals. These pedals are round, obviously, but you could do it for pedals. If you don't have a dedicated wrench, I think it'd be for something where you need to unscrew it. So for pedal, I think it's less necessary because once you undo that initial pressure, it will come loose and you don't have to worry about it. But for things like this, where you need like constant pressure and keep turning, I think this is great. I think another thing for is probably just like wheel cones. If you just need to kind of like do a little bit of pressure and you don't want to find like a tool, this is you know, this is adjustable, so you can kind of just like pick one tool up and then you know you can undo something. Maybe if you had a tight bolt and you need to keep like opening it and turning it. And then just yeah, one of the things to notice is if you're in the closed position, just the smallest one, you can only open it so far, because what happens is your fingers can't push it as further here and it becomes like a little bit more difficult. I just found that maybe for my hands a little bit harder on just the first position. All the other positions, it's no problem because the handle gets closer. But yeah, on the first one, you can see this is how it goes. Yeah, you can only open it so much before it goes too wide, but you can obviously you can adjust it to the second position, and then it's makes it a bit easier. All right, so that's that, and then now we're going to try out this thing. All right, so these are the bars I'm going to cut down. These are Stridsland's bars. They're pretty long. They're 820. So most of the bars I run are 760, but I'm going to cut these down to 800. So just 10 off each side, and yeah, should be easier getting through doorways. So yeah, I remeasured the bars and they're actually 850 wide. So yeah, lucky. Always double check your measurements, and I'm just taking 20 off each side, so it's going to end up being around 810. And then here, just lining up the tool, basically you just push up that little blade and it's going to get close but not super close, and then you wind a little blue handle at the end to make it touch the blade and put pressure on the tube, and then just slowly wind it around. I was unsure how much pressure to put on the blade for now, so I kind of just did light pressure. But then as I went, I actually ended up putting more and more pressure. But yeah, just basically keep winding around all the way. It's quite nice to have the rollers there of the tool. Kept it nice and even, kept it nice and straight. And yeah, you just basically keep doing it till it comes off. Definitely less effort than a hacksaw. And yeah, you can see it popped off just like that. Here's the end untouched. All right, here's it cut. Just wipe it down. All right, seems all right. Seems pretty clean. Don't know if I need to use that little burr thing, but I'll give it a try. So yeah, this just pops out and you just put it in with the blade towards the the bit you want to cut and then just wind it around. I just did it around a few times. It seemed like it was cutting pretty well. And then I think just because I didn't have tons of burrs on, it made a pretty easy job of that. Alright, so here's the cut. You can see that how it's broken the clear coat a little bit. So I think it's a pretty clean cut and pretty straight, but I think you still need to give it a sand afterwards. So yeah, just using 700 wet and dry here, or 750, and yeah, just took all the edge off, and it's looking pretty good. So yeah, basically just install the grips, no problem installing the grips again, no issues there, and that was good to go. Pretty happy with that. And then what I did was basically I did the same for the other side. So yeah, overall pretty stoked with this tool. I think it works pretty well. It has smooth rolling action, the blade cut pretty clean, and the little blue knob on the end where you turn it turns super smooth. So yeah, no complaints on this one. It definitely is faster than a hacksaw, and probably a straighter cut than a hacksaw, because I don't have a little guide thing. But yeah, overall pretty impressed with this. Made light work of this, and yeah, putting the grips on was no issue there either. Alright, all done. And here's the conclusion for the two tools. So for the wrench pliers, basically it just feels more intuitive in general. You get more grip, you get less slip. It's easier to kind of undo things where you need that continuous pressure on it. And then it's good having a kind of 2-in-1 tool, because you can just pick it up. You don't have to worry about sizes, and yeah, it just makes things a little bit quicker. And then I think the cons would be things like a Super C's bottom bracket. I think you're not going to beat a adjustable shifter and a breaker bar. This is for more small things. And then the last thing is the first position. I found it a little bit funky to use, but other than that, pretty good overall. And then for the pipe cutter, it was, yeah, super easy to use. Everything worked smoothly. Had the rollers and also the integrated deburr tool. That's handy to have. I would say the con would be just giving the pipe a bit of a clean after you do it, so sandpaper or a file. But yeah, even if you're cutting up with a hacksaw, you're going to have to give it a clean anyway. So yeah, overall not too bad. So yeah, I'll definitely be using these tools in my future builds to see how they go a bit more. And yeah, they definitely have a place in my toolbox for bikes. Hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully it helps. If you've used Knipex tools before, just comment what you use them for down the bottom. Let me know what you think. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one. Peace.